Today I'm going to show you how to put fog lights or daytime running lights on a Toyota Prius. The car I'm going to demonstrate on today is a Prius Wagon or a Prius V, but you might have a different model of Prius. Even the Prius C has a place where you can put fog lights. You just need to order the correct kit, and of course the benefits are visibility, safety, and a backup lighting system. Now, a few things you might need. A multimeter is always handy. A regular and a Phillips screwdriver are going to be useful. This is a 10mm socket, which we'll use mainly to remove the under skid plate on the vehicle. And then it's nice to have a wire stripper that also has the ability to crimp connectors on it. Some spare wire. I'm going to use a few feet for the power supply. And then these are butt splice connectors, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And this is a ScotchLok connector. Allows you to do a solderless and cutless splice into a power supply. So this comes with the kit, this red ScotchLok connector. And the way it works is, if this happens to be a power supply and you want to tap into it, you just take the wire, you snap it into the ScotchLok, and so far the wire has no connection into it. It's just laying in the ScotchLok waiting. And then the wire you want to splice into, there's another opening in the ScotchLok. You just go ahead and press that, and you can see you have to just push it in until it stops and goes past the metal connector. Then you're ready to plunge the metal connector using a pair of pliers. Now, of course, I'm not going to do that since we're going to use this for this job, but you can imagine just squeeze it all the way down until it goes flush. And once you do that, you can just fold over the protective cover and it'll snap into place. And you'll see that later in this video. Now, the other connector that you'll use, this is called a butt splice connector. And butt splices are just used to connect any two pieces of wires at the end. And to use them, you need a wire stripper, and you'll just strip off a short section of the end of the wire, twist it so it holds together, and then just go ahead and put the splice connector over top of it and use your crimp to crimp the metal barrel that's inside of it. And once you do that, you have a good solid connection, and you can then connect another wire to the other end. So let's open up our kit and see what we have inside. So as we unbox this, you can see that we have plastic wrapping, and that sounds kind of annoying, and I'm not going to make you listen to it. So I'm just going to show you everything already unwrapped. My lights were pretty good quality. They have manufacturing dates, part numbers, they have glass lenses, and they even have nice halogen headlight lamps in them. Now, these H11s are also usable as spare headlight in this particular vehicle because it's the same bulb. We've also got some extension wire in here. We've got the ScotchLok connector that I showed you earlier. And then you have a switch. And the switch, of course, matches other Toyota switches and matches the exact place where the block plate comes out of the dash. Now, if you look at the instructions, it talks about using the battery or a fuse terminal for power supply. The problem with that is you have a constant power supply, and we want a power supply that shuts off when the vehicle turns off so we don't burn our battery down if we accidentally leave the lights on. So we're going to tie into the cigarette lighter because it's easy to get to, has plenty of amperage, and it shuts off when the vehicle shuts off. Here's a kit left over from another job, and as you can see, the only real difference here is the shape of the trim that fits around it in the grille of the car on the bumper. So make sure you just order the right kit for the year of Prius that you have. So under the hood, we've got the fuse box on the right, but what we need is a place to pass wires through the firewall. And Toyota gave us a little bit of a gift here. You can see the main harness, and it passes through a rubber fitting that has a tube that goes all the way through to the inside. And if you look from the inside, directly above the accelerator pedal, you'll see the other end of that tube. And the other end of the tube has no plug in it. It's just an opening. And this is what it looks like. So we're going to actually push the wires from the inside to the outside. But to do that, we're first going to have to cut the end off that tube that's under the hood. And so I'll show you that I've already done that, and this is what it looks like. And once you've done that, you'll be able to pass the wires through. Now, this is the two positive terminals in the fuse box. And again, the problem is they're always positive. So I choose not to use those. Now, to get better access to the pass-through area, I'm going to remove this underdash trim that's right below the steering column. It's just a couple of screws, and then it snaps out of the way. And you'll see easily we have much better access to the firewall pass-through once it's removed. So we can see it much more easily now. And what are we going to pass through? Well, there's the extension that comes with it, And then also our own wire that I'm going to use for power supply. And that's the one I'm going to tap into the auxiliary power supply, or the cigarette lighter. And to do that, to pass it through, we're going to just tape the wires to a piece of coat hanger. And you can grease that up a little bit if it helps. And you're just going to push that from the inside out. This is what it looks like under the hood when it's finished. You've got 2 wires coming out of that tube. And this is what it looks like from within the car, right above the accelerator pedal. And in order to route these wires to the auxiliary power outlet, there's a kick plate that easily snaps out of place. And then the panel that has the power supply in it is just held in with push tabs. So once you route your wire, just go ahead and pull that panel out. And I removed a little bit of the insulation leading up to the plug so that I could test the leads. And of course, the one that was positive was the one that did not have a big black stripe on it. That would indicate negative. And you can see I've already put the ScotchLok on. And once I've made the connection, I wrap it back up with electrical tape to keep it tidy. Now, I split the power line in 2 using a butt splice. And you can see here, you've got 1 wire coming in, 2 wires coming out. And I did that because we have to supply the switch with power, so it will illuminate. And speaking of the switch, it's easy to remove the block plates that are in there. And now the switch that's supplied with the lights plugs directly in easily. And if you look at the wire harness for the switch, of course, it's got a green plug. It only goes one way. You can't get it wrong. And then on the end of it, it's got a red wire that's already been stripped for you. And the black wire has a clip. And a good grounding source is right next to the OBD plug, which is under the steering column. That's a good solid ground. So I went ahead and attached to that. And then for the positive, I just used a butt splice. And you can see here, this connects to our new power supply and to the switch. So now we're done with the switch assembly. I tidied things up a little bit with zip ties. And so that'll all tuck out of the way nicely. We're finished here at the power supply, so we can snap this panel back into place. And once you've got your wires routed out of harm's way, go ahead and snap your kick plate back into place and replace all the other panels. Most of these snap into place pretty easily. Essentially done on the inside of the vehicle. Everything looks good. All our wires are in place. So now we're ready to go under the vehicle. In order to route our wires and install the new auxiliary lights, we're going to need to remove the forward skid panel that's under the car. And we're going to use our 10mm socket to remove that skid plate. And once we do that, we can set it aside. And you can see that we can now access the back of the block plates that are used by Toyota for cars that don't come with fog lights. And they're just held in with little push tabs. And once you squeeze them, you can go ahead and push those tabs and begin the tabs pushing through forward. And once you do that, you can push the block plate out of the way. And this is what the front of the grille is going to look like. We now have 2 holes where the fog lights are going to go. And there's absolutely no shame in cleaning things up just a little bit before you start putting things back together with the new lights. And this is what we're going to be putting in. Now, we looked at this H11 bulb that comes with it, but there's also LEDs that you can order. Just search on H11 LED. I've had the best luck with this particular model. It's easy to spot. There's others that work as well, but you just want to make sure that they're high enough wattage that they'll activate the relay so both lights come on. And this is how they mount. Now, there's really only 1 screw per light. There's 2 tongues that slide to the inner part of the mounting area. And then the 2 tongues that are on the outer, only one of them requires a screw, the lower one. And so we're going to go ahead and screw the lower outer tongue from behind. And you may not need to do it, but these lights actually come with hex screws for adjusting the beam angle. I didn't have to worry about it, but just wanted to let you know that it's there. Now we can snap our trim piece into place, and we're ready to do the driver's side light. And it's the same process. The inner tongues just slide into place, and then the lower outer tongue will take a screw from behind right here, and we can snap the trim back into place on this. And the new trims look good. In fact, they almost look too good because they're brand new, but over time they will blend a little bit. And the harness has a grounding on the right side, which was conveniently close to a mounting screw that holds the windshield washer bottle. I tested it. It's a good ground, so you can see I've attached to that. And once I did that, I zip tied the harness out of harm's way So now we're ready to put the skid plate back into place if we want to. Now the fuse for the harness that comes with these lights has a mount that slides right on the side of the Toyota fuse box. Now the positive on the new light harness has a loop on it, so I just snipped that off, stripped the wire, and I connected it to our new power supply using this butt splice. And then I zip tied everything neatly and tucked it out of the way. So we're done with the fuse box, we're done under the hood. Let's do a test. So when we turn the vehicle on, you can see that the switch illuminates, which is good. And when you turn the lights on, the on light on the switch illuminates as well, and it looks like we have two good working lights. If this helps you guys out, please do give a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. And if you know anybody else trying to do this, please do share this video. Thanks for watching.